And now for something completely different.
Sitcoms are amazing. Sitcoms are wonderful. No matter what period of life or what period of state you're in, sitcoms are always there. They're the longest running format on TV. Think of the early days of sitcoms in the 60s, the 50s, in the 70s, and how sitcoms have evolved and changed. And modern sitcoms, you can now have a bit of emotion, not just gag, gag, gag. Or joke, joke, joke is another term for the word gag. So, having sitcoms here, having sitcoms everywhere is a lifeline. My name's Tom Mason, and welcome to the wonderful world of sitcoms. The Brittas Empire aired on the 3rd of January 1991 on BBC One. It ran for 7 series and ended on the 24th of February 1997. The show starred Chris Barrie as the lovable but yet annoying boss, Gordon Brittas, or Mr. Brittas, as Colin Weatherby calls it.
A new series.
Isn't it wonderful to be back? Everything's so new and shiny.
And a new project for Gordon.
I believe that every child in Europe has the right to a foundation course in trampolining before the age of 12.
Leading his troops into battle.
Staff room, everyone, got a lot to organise.
Fighting for public service.
And where do you think you're going?
The Word, according to Brittas, Monday, 8:30, BBC One.
I only read the bits they serialised in the paper, but I found them most uplifting.
The show was a predecessor to The Office in that it starred Chris Barrie as Gordon Brittas, who's this boss who you love, but you also find annoying. And it was the arc, as they were evolving the horrible boss trope before we got to David Brent on The Office. When the Brittas Empire started, Chris Barrie had left Red Dwarf for a little while.
Hello?
Excuse me, is this the manager's office?
That's right. You should be here any minute. You must be Colin. Laura Lancing, Deputy Manager Dry.
Colin Weatherby, Deputy Manager Wet. This is all very exciting, isn't it?
Would you like some coffee and a biscuit, Colin?
Not for me, thank you. I never take caffeine, and I find that the gluten in biscuits takes the edge off my fitness programme.
I see.
I always say that if you fill your body full of poisons, you can't really be surprised if it doesn't operate on its full potential.
No, I suppose not.
Sorry I'm late. Slight crisis down in reception. Gordon Brittas. You must be Laura.
That's right.
Good to have you on the team, Laura. And this is...
I'm Colin, Deputy Wet.
Colin...
Yes.
Colin. So, you're the man with 2 PE degrees and a diploma in physical studies.
That's right.
Advanced homeopathy counsellor, trained yoga teacher, and author of a pamphlet on how to achieve peak fitness in 3 weeks.
That's me.
Yes, well. Welcome aboard, Colin. Let's get down to it, shall we?
A lot of fans did not like how the show ended, as the original writers left after 5 series. Because with a lot of sitcoms, not many people liked the way that it all ended as a dream. To go alongside the show, they made a book and a fitness series called Get Fit with Brittas.
Actually, you may be able to help me, young lady.
No, Leslie. Leslie Joseph.
Oh, right. Well, Joe, you see, I'm determined to get fit.
Well, I'm very fit, as you can see. I work out.
No doubt. With me, it's 30 minutes of moderate exercise 5 times a week. However, by way of research, I'm buying up all the second-hand workout videos I can find.
To go along with the Get Fitted with Brittas special, they also created a Gordon Brittas Sharing the Dream book and audiobook, which was read by Gordon Brittas himself, Chris Barrie. It shares the intricate details that the show doesn't have time to explain, and it's incredible. It's one of those audiobooks that is hard to get hold of. Once you do, you have a true treasure on your hands.
Self-fulfilment and personal development the Gordon Brittas way. A.
Acknowledgements. In preparing this work, I have been greatly helped by many other people, although of course the basic philosophy is my own. I particularly appreciate the efforts put in by my parents, my family and my loyal staff, without whom the Whitbury Newtown Leisure Centre would not be in the condition it is today.
Get Fit with Brittas was made to parody on the fitness DVDs, fitness VHSs that were around at the time. The show has been repeated a lot on TV over the last 3 years. Recently, it repeated on the now sadly dead channel Forces TV, and most recently, as of the 28th of April 2023, it appeared on the brilliant channel Drama. Over the years that the programme was on TV, Gordon Brittas and the Whitby Newtown Leisure Centre lot have appeared on several other shows. Notable appearance of Gordon Brittas is during Noel's House Party, where it turns out Gordon Brittas is now part of the Mr. Blobby world, because I can't think of the name at the moment. The Mr. Blobby Leisure Centre. Sadly, if the programme did come back today, the writers and some of the fans are slightly concerned that the Leisure Centre format might not be good enough anymore, since not many people use leisure centres. With Series 6, Episode 2. Sadly, we've not had Series 7 launch on the UK TV player or on the brilliant channel Drama, sadly, but hopefully one day that happens. Earlier this year, comedian, podcaster, and all-round entertainer Tom Mason made a podcast about the show, and a few months later, the host of Don't Slam Your Pod, a 2.4 children podcast, made his own Brittas Empire podcast. I got the opportunity to speak to John David Collins about his own podcast. And not only have you done a 2.4 children podcast, you've now also done a successor to a sitcom that's probably less well known than 2.4 children. How did the idea of a Brittas Empire podcast come about?
Well, I've got to be honest, I don't think it's possibly less well known than 2.4. I think it's probably just as well known, in the sense that it was on they first started in the same year. So January was 91 was when Brittas was on, and 2.4 started in September. I think they're both shows that are very popular. They were popular at the time. They've got their fans. They both haven't had the support, I think, to become repeated. They wasn't repeated compared to other shows of the same era, like Fools and Horses. I think that they're more cult shows, which is not a bad thing. Cult TV is I think if you get called a cult show, I think that's the best label that you can get. What happened was I co-hosted with a guy called Chris Nichols, who was on the 2.4 Children podcast. He also co-runs the Facebook page, the 2.4 Children Facebook page. So I recorded episodes with him, so we got chatting, and then we became good friends. And he absolutely loves the Brittas Empire, which I've seen a lot of. I remember watching certain episodes when I was younger, but I've not seen it as much as him. And so he said he wanted to do a Brittas Empire podcast. And around sort of the end of last year, he said, can you help do some recordings, just some test recordings to see how I do it? Yeah. And so he was going to do it a bit like I'd done 2.4 Children, where every week it would be a different guest or maybe returning guest to review a certain episode. And I was watching these episodes of Brittas Empire that we were going to do a test recording on, and I remember thinking, I have to do this because it's so brilliantly written and produced, like 2.4, in the sense that both shows are very similar in that they are very similar to other type of sitcoms. So obviously 2.1 was a domestic sitcom. There's lots of family sitcoms. Brittas Empire, it's got the workplace setting and staff members, so that harbours back to things like Faulty Towers, Are You Being Served, Heidi High. But both of them had an irreverent humour to them that seems to be very much part of that early 90s culture. And in my opinion, enhanced the quality of mainstream sitcoms in that time. They weren't bland, as people might misremember them as, and they actually had a lot more depth than people either remember or choose to remember, because I think some people just choose to be negative about a lot of these kind of comedies. And so we started recording these episodes and we put them out, and we've had some great feedback. And we've done the first 2 series. We're going to do the 3rd series soon, record them. And it's just, again, another great fan base that we've got involved with, and everyone's so friendly and enthusiastic and passionate. So it's I've been very, very lucky with my podcasting experience.
The show was filmed at Ring Recreation Centre in Hampshire. In aid of Sport Relief 2014, Chris Barry teamed up with the pop band Little Mix to create a Sport Relief music video for Word Up, where Gordon Brittas plays a leisure centre manager as Mr. Brittas, and in a brand new location to celebrate Sport Relief. In 2017, they did a reunion where they went to the grand reopening of the leisure centre, where they filmed a very special one-off reunion, filmed on the actress that played Carol's phone. So made on a phone, it's a great way to celebrate the show. And it's a memory that fans cherish. Hopefully one day the show will return for more orderly chaos. Here is a clip from Wogan where Chris Barry is talking to Terry Wogan about the Brittas Empire.
It's not bad for a young man started his working life as a grave digger. In Red Dwarf, he's the odious rimmer. In the Brittas Empire, he's the even more odious manager of the Whitbury Leisure Centre, Gordon Brittas.
What's that, Gavin?
Nothing, Mr. Brittas.
That's a cigarette. Ah! I thought we'd established at our last staff seminar that smoking is only for the weak-willed and feeble-minded.
Yes. Yes.
We'd better meet at 5 o'clock, Gavin. I'm going to have to take you through the health statistics again.
Yes, Mr. Brittas.
Before you go, Gavin, I think an apology might be in order.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Brittas.
Not me, Gavin.
Oh,
Go on. I'm sorry, Mrs. Brittas, for shortening your life by an estimated 3 minutes and endangering your respiratory system by my thoughtless and selfish behaviour.
Mrs. Brittas.
It doesn't matter, Gavin. Go on.
Now, please welcome the man that 9 million viewers love to strangle, Chris Barry. I must say, shut up! God help us. I must say, I didn't think you'd get any applause at all, because that character, it really is, he's awful, isn't he? Any sympathy at all for him?
He never sets out to be, though, that's the thing.
He never sets out to be odious. That's the whole thing, Terry. See, I have a dream in my life, you see. And it's to make sure everyone's friendly and nice and lovely, just like me. I'm very blinkered, though.
Yeah, where did you get it from? I mean, where did the voice come from? The body language, where did that come from?
Well, the voice, when I first started to get my equity card, I went on a tour with a musical director who actually spoke. I mean, in my mind, he spoke very much like this. And he used to drive his car through the hills in Wales, and we would say, no, David, there's a much quicker route to Newport. And he would go, no, there isn't, believe me. Do believe me. And of course, there always was, but we never dispute. Had the glazed look in his face that says, please, that's the way to go. And the physicality, the sort of shaking of the head and that sort of, there's no reason why, all that sort of stuff, I got from my neighbour.
From your neighbour?
I don't think he knows it yet.
Yeah, he does now. You can never go home again now. And do you pick up things from observation? I mean, the body language, or does it come with the voice? You get the voice, and the body language follows.
I think the voice is the first thing. I think that's the main sort of 70%, and then from there, the rest just seems to fall into place.
Do you get any abuse as this fairly odious manager of the leisure centre?
Well, so far, most of the abuse I've got is as Rimmer, Red Dwarf. You know, people saying, where's your H, mate? All right, Smeghead. Hello, Smeghead. How are you? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't really, I don't get too much abuse so far as Brittas. I disguise myself.
I think he'd be wonderful, British, if he had just a little bit something to relieve his awful smugness, because sometimes you actually switch it off in frustration with him.
Right, I can understand that, but I think ultimately he is, I mean, in this series particularly, he's been the victim, really, and the people, when he nearly got sacked, for example, by the inspector, who fortunately was a Brittas himself. But I think as I say, he always sets out to do good. It's just, unfortunately, he deals, people is my game, and unfortunately, what he does, he reads a book and learns all about people, yeah?
Over the next few years, the writers of the show have tried to revive it time and time again, but sadly had no luck. The show slowly gained more popularity over the last 3 years because of its addition to BritBox, which is slowly becoming a very good series. The first 5 series are available on BritBox, sadly, not Series 6 and not Series 7. According to the writers, the show was supposed to end after Series 5, but the BBC liked the show so much they ordered another series. Sadly, after 5 series, the original creators and writers of the show decided to leave. The show was created by Richard Fagan and Andrew Norris. In 2021, the show turned 30. The sitcom racked up an impressive 52 episodes in total, attracting more than 10 million viewers on BBC One at its highest, and was hugely popular, leading to the guest appearances from its characters on other television shows. 6 comic shorts, Get Fittest with Brittas, were made and produced to offer fitness advice to the public. Despite the show's huge success, a lack of repeats have seen it fall under the radar in recent years. However, there's been discussions of potential revivals. So what would we look forward? So what would we have to look forward to coming in the future? The Brittas' central character, Gordon Brittas, is primarily a well-motivated man. He often discusses his dream, especially no less than achieving world peace through leisure centre sport. He believes he can end war by getting people to come in and not fight, but we have a game of badminton instead. However, the manners which goes about the cause and consistent in frustrations are all who crosses his path. Firstly, he's master of unattainable backhanded compliments and can be incredibly tactless, and sometimes he can just annoy people. Carol is a receptionist who is always and sometimes sadly the butt of the joke. Brittas' other main faults is an obsession with doing things by the book, mountains of form-filling and strict adherence to timetabling and regular closure of the centre for fire drills are all the vital importance. He also willingly points out faults in other behaviour, obviously to any potential for upset, and happy instructions on them on how to do the right thing. He's a well-to-do man, mean-to-do man, but sadly causes a lot of issues. He is always trusted with his wife, who sadly is always up to something, but Gordon is not. Is so engrossed in the job he never notices. According to 80skids.com, the show was hardly filmed in a leisure centre. In spite of managing to look the part throughout, much of the Brittas Empire was actually filmed in a studio rather than a leisure centre, making the look of the show even more impressive. On occasions, when a real leisure centre was needed for some shots in and around Whitby Newtown Leisure Centre, the Ringwood Health and Leisure Centre in Hampshire was used. The town of Ringwood would also use as the exterior for certain scenes. Chris Barrie was filming The Brittas Empire and Red Dwarf at the same time. The Brittas Empire ran for much of the 90s, and as fans of the leading man Chris Barrie will remember, he wasn't the actor only in the hit TV sitcom at the time. Back to back with this, but Barrie was also busy playing Arnold Rimmer in the sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf, giving him a difficult schedule to juggle. One of the ex-Doctors from Doctor Who was the first choice to play Gordon Brittas. It was hard to think of anyone other than Barrie in the main role for Gordon Brittas, but he wasn't the first choice for the role. Peter Davison, the fifth Doctor, who was also known for All Creatures Great and Small, was offered the role first, but turned it down. The Brittas Empire is currently available on BritBox Series 1 to 5, and is available on DVD Series 1 to 7. Thank you guys for listening. And remember, sitcoms will be there for you in your hour of need, in your time of need. Sitcoms are loved, sitcoms are cherished, and sitcoms are there for you. Join me next time as we delve more into the wonderful world of sitcoms. Hello, Tom Mason here. I just want to give a brief update on what's going to be happening for the rest of the series and beyond. As you know, that this is the wonderful world of sitcoms, so the series will be travelling all around the world. We've got a few more episodes left in Series 1, where we'll be talking mainly about British TV sitcoms, but in the second series, we're hoping to expand and talk about other sitcoms from America, Australia, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Colombia, anywhere, and we're also going to include radio sitcoms from Britain and beyond. Other than that, we have more excitement, intrigue and fun in store. I am creating these shows in multiple different ways, in multiple different genres, so for people that want to re-listen to these shows, can re-listen to on my selective YouTube channels, depending on which show the YouTube channel's for, if you will. So the wonderful world of sitcoms is currently available to re-listen to in a interesting visual format on my YouTube channel, and now something completely different. And my Albert Flowerpot radio show is available to re-listen to over on Tom's Comedy Club. This is a amazing thing for me to be doing, because it's showing that I have skills, and it's showing that I can do these things. I try and make these episodes an hour, but not every episode. I don't have interviews with every cast. Sometimes I have shows where I've interviewed a lot of people, and sometimes I've had shows where I haven't actually interviewed that many people from the show yet. Anyway, I always strive and passion and determined to do it, but I don't always get the opportunity to interview these people. But I do find old interviews that the cast, that the crew have done from the past, from the archive, and from places that like, not like other people have done, but more like they've done on TV, like on Morgan and on a lot of other ends. Now, according to 80skids.com, because I missed this fact off earlier, it says the top 10 things you never knew about the British Empire, and apparently, according to the website, now this isn't fact, as in definite fact, this is just a one opinionated fact that it was that the British Empire was voted the best British sitcom. The British Empire never seemed to have enjoyed the same cult status as Barrie's other sitcoms, Red Dwarf, but clearly it's been long well remembered among viewers. A 2004 poll held by the BBC found Britain's best sitcoms saw the British Empire making the list, coming in retrospective 47th place. That is incredible. Why is it incredible, might you add? Well, it's because it means that we're allowed to be in to be in the top, like above the top 50, really. So I mentioned earlier in the show about the fact about the British returning for the Sport Relief video. The more information that I didn't mention was that in 2014, 17 years after the end of the Brittas Empire, Barry reprised the role of Gordon Brittas for Sport Relief. Barry, by then aged 54, appeared as Brittas in the Little Mix video for their song Word Up, which also featured Melody C, aka Sporty Spice. I did not know that, but that is very fitting as a Sport Relief. Over the years, comedy has done Comic Relief, Sport Relief, Children Need, and all those different fundraising programmes, so I'm quite glad that Brittas did it. Will the British Empire ever return? Who knows? Do we want it to return is the other question. Who knows about that as well? But all I know is that the British Empire is amazing. If you haven't seen the show, please do yourself a favour and go and watch the show. I've been your host, Mason. Roll the outro.
Mr. Brittas!
Colin Weatherby!
Oh, let me give you a kiss and a hug, Mr. Brittas!
He's back.
You look just like you always look. I thought you'd be flatter.
But is he still the same?
You're not going to shock yourself. I'm not a complete man.
What? What have I taken away?
They forgot to give me a belly button.
Back on the road in the new Brittas Empire. Tuesday at 8:30 on BBC One.
C1. And if you've got... excuse me, there's somebody at the door. I wonder who this could be. Hello? My God, it's worse than I thought. How long have they given you? Well, it's 55 minutes. 55 minutes? You've got a moment to lose. Let me take your pulse. I can't feel anything. You're dead or I am. And have you looked in a mirror recently? Yeah, well, I looked in a mirror this morning, and then at lunchtime, and then this afternoon, and then... And I bet I know what you thought. You said to yourself, I must replace this mirror, this one's got all wrinkly. Am I right? I'm afraid so, yes. Yes, Mr. Edmondson. Well, I can help you. Edmund. Yes, Edmund, yes, Nolly, I'll just call you. I can help. I can actually be your personal fitness manager. Oh. Now, when was the last time you had a physical? Oh, she gets these headaches. I know the feeling, me, yes. Now, what I can do is I can get rid of that flabby old chin of yours, puff out that puny, scrawny chest, I can replace all the unwanted flab and turn it into muscle, you see. So do you want to join the crinkly-bottom gladiators of the world, Master Gladiators Leisure Centre? Well, how many members are there? If you join, one.
You just listened to Brittas, aka Chris Barry, on Noel's house party. Now, one thing that fans have always said was, is this canon to the show? Because obviously at that point he's working at Crinkly Bottom Gladiators and, well, you've just heard, Leisure Centre. So who knows whether or not the show, that would be canon. It's not like Doctor Who where there's multiple different canons, but who knows whether or not it will class as canon. The British Empire was at its height of popularity when Chris Barry appeared on Noel's house party, doing his little bit. It's an amazing show and deserves more of the praise than it currently gets. I've been your host, Mason. Enjoy the outro. The proper outro. I realised when I said enjoy the outro last time, I forgot I was actually going to add some an archived remastered trailer that someone did on YouTube and a clip from the Noel's house party that I forgot to put in earlier on in the programme. So I do apologise for repeating myself ever so slightly. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening as much as I've enjoyed making this programme. Goodbye. In this programme, the voices you've heard is Tom Mason, Chris Barry, John David Collins, Terry Wogan, Noel Edmonds, the cast of Get Fittest with Brittas, and the cast of the Brittas Empire. Thank you for listening. Bye bye. Tom Mason would like to thank Chris Barry for playing Gordon Brittas. Without Gordon Brittas, we probably would not get David Brent. You've been listening to the wonderful world of sitcoms, written, presented by Tom Mason. This was a TGM production. Thank you for listening, and find out what Tom's up to next time in the weird world of Tom Mason.